This is Ev Zervadakis with Astrology for Healing. And today we're going to expand and talk about Pluto. Pluto is the planet of death, as you well know. And the reason why I'm talking about Pluto and death is because we've been under the influence of Pluto in Capricorn for a long time, and it's going to stay in that sign for a long time. But what's been happening is it's hitting on certain aspects in the charts of everyone, and we're feeling it. And I'm not going to talk about COVID right now. I'm just going to talk about death in general. A little bit about me, as you probably know or may know, my background was in medicine, in laboratory medicine to be specific. I did have the opportunity to work in the morgue various times in my life, so I was very much exposed to death. Also, and you'll have to excuse me because I take some notes, so I want to make sure that I take care of everything. Once I get to the 10-minute mark, I'm going to do then a part two if I need to. So it will depend on the questions, and I have no idea as far as how to work this thing as far as comments, but we could do this, and we'll see what happens. But anyhow, you'll have to forgive me. But I really enjoy what I'm doing because I love talking to people. I love sharing what I already know and what I've experienced. By the way, this is only my perspective and my opinion as far as death and all the astrological interpretations. I found, because I started doing the astrology back when I was around 12 or 13. And so I took it, I kept taking it up a level, up a level. And what I know about astrology is it turns out I'm very intuitive. I didn't realize how intuitive I was until I really started doing um, lots and lots of readings. So it is a good thing to look at. However, the important thing is death. We're going to talk about death today only because so many of us do not have a grasp on death. They don't want to talk about it. My mother was one of those people that to the last day she would not talk about death. She didn't want to be prepared. The subject was very taboo, and it was so fearful for her. But years and years ago, when I had gone on a trip to Greece, I got to see how people actually dealt with death in the past, not like society is now. And it was a super macabre event. We go into the home, um, the body is in the living room, and the deceased spouse is sitting there, looking totally, dumbfounded. And this is really gross, but there were fluids and stuff coming out of the body, and it was just the weirdest thing I ever saw. And you're talking about a person that experienced death in the hospital and in the morgues, and I was used to that kind of death, but I was never used to that kind of a layout. You know, the funeral homes. I mean, it was a do-it-yourself. So that was a real eye opener. But the people of that culture understood that death is inevitable. I don't know what's going on over here as far as death in this society, but you just mentioned the word death, and everybody runs in all directions. So, what is death? Okay, and this is from the definition, and it says, on the dictionary definition, and it says permanent cessation of all vital functions, end of life. Well, it's the end of the physical life. So, as you all know, we have a spiritual life and a physical life. So, inside of us, excuse me, is a soul that leaves the body and goes into another realm. So, yes, it's a change. So, in physics, matter can neither be created or destroyed, but it just transforms. So Pluto again means transformation. If you look at a butterfly, it is, before it becomes a butterfly, it is a caterpillar. And then the caterpillar goes in and has a little cocoon in there, and then it emerges into another life form, which is a butterfly. The same thing, if you want to get the essence of Pluto, down in a deep, deep underground or unseen world, mysterious place, look at the human embryo or any kind of embryo as it's developing in a hidden place inside the womb. Um, it's being fed, it's alive. However, we don't know what's going on. And so, I mean, we know that it's developing, but it's in its own little world. So, one of the key points that I want to look at, and if you want to look at your chart, if you have your chart and the natal wheel, if you want to understand how you look at death and what your feelings are and your strengths and the weaknesses in the subject of death, then you would look at where Scorpio is in your house and where its ruling planet, which is Pluto. Pluto is in your house. So for me, Scorpio is on my first house, the ascendant, which means death plays a very big part of my life. So most of my adult life, I did work with pathology, which is a study of disease. And, you're always encountering death when you look at diseases. And Pluto is in my 10th house, which is career. So it's no surprise that I work with mysterious stuff and the hidden stuff and psychological stuff and all that. So experience what happens when we're faced with death. The human persona changes unless you really came to death's door. You really don't know what it feels like. I believe we all got a little taste of death and death's door with this latest pandemic. Um, but I know different cultures, if you read and check historically, how bodies would be all over the place and people would have to climb over other bodies. I know one coworker that I had, she was from Ireland, and I love working here. I just love this country, blah, blah, blah. And I said, why do you like it so much? I mean, I was really intrigued because, most of us are moaning and groaning and complaining. I don't like this and I don't like that. Well, you know what she said? And I was just froze solid by her response. She says, I don't have to climb over any dead people to go to work every day. Well, I just paused and I didn't understand it, but that was during the war with the Irish Republic army and all that stuff, and they were killing each other. So it's very interesting. So thank you again for joining me. Give me a thumbs up if you hear everything all right. If you like what you're hearing, if you want me to continue doing these things, I'm taking advantage of my slow period now to give you the this information because it's very important in my opinion, and it helps a lot of people. They tell me that after the videos come up, they tell me how much they enjoyed it, and it's very humbling to me because I want to just help people in all aspects. So um, and whether you need an advocate or life coach or whatever the case is, I'm here to help you. So for me, I had 4 touches of death. One of them was in a car accident, and the last thing I saw was a wall, a mountain of rocks, and I was going 60 miles an hour towards that mountain. And I laid down on the seat, and I thought, "Oh well, here we go. I'm not going to live through this." And but I did. I don't know what happened. The car must have spun around and then I was in the other lane. The other one was when I had a surgery that had gone bad. And so they ended up doing a big surgery, not laparoscopic, and sent me home. And that's when I was hemorrhaging and I couldn't be moved. And number 3 was a medical error. They didn't notice that I had some organisms growing, and I kept, I felt like I had the flesh eating bacteria. I was just expanding, and I felt really euphoric. It was like, oh. And then also, when the airline got hijacked, I was 16 years old, and that was during the Munich hijacking where they were killing people on the airplane. And thank God I missed the flight. And the last one was when I was just it, ha- it had to do with a medical thing, and well, it slips my mind, but it was one of those. It was an error, and I ended up recovering from that. So I learned from all those experiences, and then I'm going to move on because I'm done with the first page and I'm done with the 10 minutes. So remember, look out for my live. Now I've learned how to tell people that I'm going to go live at a certain time. I like to pick the time around 4 p.m. because it seems to be a good time. But and we're also going to be doing some gatherings, some development circles. I'd love to do them live, not with the video stuff. I'm a little challenged in that respect, but we're going to see what kind of venues we could find to do this, and we'll do that on a weekly basis so we could talk about astrology and all. And hi, Rosie. I'm going to go into the next video because well, actually, I'll just continue and make it a longer video. So that's what we want to do. I have a partner that wants to hook up and talk about his specialty. So we want to provide the general public with information about the supernatural, paranormal, whatever you want to call it, occult, the unseen world, the metaphysical world, how psychic abilities are developed, because that's something that I came across, and I never realized that I did have such strong psychic abilities. But so on the next page, we're going to talk about some of the stages of death, and what I found was really important about death. A lot of people, because they want to just go into denial is one of the first stages of death, is that's when you're actually going through the process. But the family goes into denial, and a lot of families don't want to prepare for death, and they don't want to have their papers in order. It was a wake-up call for me years ago. After my mom passed, I decided that I would have as much of the paperwork in order, so if anything were to happen, not if, when something would happen, the people that are left here on the physical plane would have an easy transition as far as maneuvering through all the piles and piles of paperwork. And whether you do or you don't have life insurance, you still have paperwork, the Social Security and all that stuff. It's better to have it all lined up. And if there were any financials with account numbers that had your name on it, and you pass, you got to have all that stuff somewhere so someone would take care of it. So it would be very irresponsible for someone to not have all that stuff in order. And now, when you don't really have that much stuff to do, it's a good time to look at your filing system, index it, and get it all in order. If you have any other questions about that, just let me know and I will help you as you go. Whatever you need, just let me know, and then give me some time to work on it. If I already don't have the stuff to work with on hand, I could develop it for you. So the stages of death are denial, anger, bargaining. Oh God, don't take me now. All of a sudden, no, God is never in anyone's life, but I have seen so many people when they are close to death, start believing in all kinds of there is a God. Maybe my angel's going to help me. Anybody help me? I don't want to die. It's not what I want right now. I'm not finished. And depression is one, because it makes you look at everything. It makes you look at what you've done and what you wanted to do, and then do you want to leave without finishing what you started? So most of it is all in our head. And I've seen so many people that were at death's door. They should have been dead, and they didn't die. They had the strong will of just hanging around. They were not ready, and they actually lived another 10 years. My father was one of them. They gave him 3 months to live, and guess what? He lived 10 years. So, everyone is different. So that's, I believe that is an aspect of the will. We have free will. And so you could be at death's door and choose to go, because if you lose your will, you've seen it where some people just lose their will and they give up. But that's why they have these stages of death. Some of the things that will happen is they'll lose their appetite. So, you know, there's something to be said about understanding the processes of death, because if you were to go to the hospital and you understand the stages that you're going to go through before you die, then you could have your medical directives and all that paperwork lined up. So you would say, I don't want a feeding tube, and I don't want a breathing thing, and I don't want to be put on a ventilator, and I don't want heroic measures. But you have to be very specific and get it all laid out. But it's a normal process that you're not hungry. So the other thing is you have increased sleep. So you're going to be sleeping more because you're in the middle of going between one world and another world. It doesn't mean that there's no other world. You are going to go. How you go, if it's a white light tunnel, whatever, that's a whole nother topic. But you're going. And then, do you have a place for a final resting place? I'm sorry, but you know, if someone in the family dies, you need a place to go. Either get cremated or a cemetery plot or a mausoleum, something like that. Have it ready. They're also in the stages of death is the decrease in social activity. They don't want to go out, don't want to talk to people. These are all signs to look for. I mean, you understand. Some of the vital signs will change: decrease in blood pressure, arrhythmia of the heart, brown urine, because the kidney's not working right, a decrease in body temperature, confusion, pain. A lot of them, they have what they call hallucinations, but that's for interpretation. My belief is that angels or deceased loved ones come from the other side to escort you to your next home. So that is what is very important, is to understand that there is another dimension, another life. Now, what happens after the death? Well, that's where you get into that intuitiveness, where you sense that someone who's passed is in the spiritual world, is connected to you. You might see signs of, you know, a ladybug. Like for me, a ladybug was my mom. And different little things. My husband was a moth, but you'll know without, like, when you just have that knowing, that that is a sign from the other side. Don't second guess it. The other thing too is you'll hear music on the radio that will remind you of a loved one. Every time you think about a loved one that has passed, remember that they are with you at that moment in time. And they love prayers. They love that you think about them. They love that you talk to them. So when do they come to you? They'll come to you when you're quiet. Well, for me, it's either in the shower, water, doing dishes. I get a lot of downloads from whatever they want to tell me. And they really help me out with my life. They kind of give me guidance. And, you might think this is crazy, but that's the way it is with me and my understanding of death and that spiritual realm, the unseen spiritual realm. And angels too to discuss with us as well. So meditation, I love the meditation component because that's when you get a lot of information as well. And it's so beneficial to the body, the physical body, because it does alter your DNA for the benefit, and it will reduce your cortisol levels, which are stress levels, stress level hormones and all that. So we're approaching the 20 minutes, so I squeezed the whole lecture into one video. And let me know next time what you'd like to hear. Let me know too when you would love to see these development circles, and if you have a location that you're willing to share with me. um, and we will find out how this whole thing will transpire, but it will be on a weekly basis. I thank you very much. Continue to stay safe. We're getting a lot more developments as to what's going on, and just delete the fear and just move on. Be courageous, but be mindful. Okay, thank you very much, folks. Till next time. And that's the end of our video.